Hello, good people, and welcome to a very important and historically significant moment, my 70 subscriber special. It took us a while to get here. We were in the 60s for some time, but recently a few uh, wonderful people who I believe are strangers. I don't think they're my friends or anything. Have joined, and we've made it to 70. Will we stay there? Who's to say? People drop off tomorrow. It could be 69 people. It could be 71 people. You know, so I just want to crystallize this moment in time when we have 70 people, and you know treasure it as it should be treasured. Um, So I kind of agonized over what to do for this 70 subscriber special. I mean, previous subscriber specials have included going through my old wallet and going through an old broken filing cabinet. So I had, big shoes to fill. But I have decided that what might be fun is to talk about all of the things that I wanted to do with this channel. And I mean that's in past tense. That shouldn't be in past tense. Things I want to do with this channel but have not done yet. So something about me is you know, I can be a lazy person. Regardless of whether I'm being lazy, I'm always sleepy. I'm always like right on the edge of falling asleep for many hours. So, you know, I'm a procrastinator, I'm sleepy, and also sometimes, the hardest part of doing anything is starting it. So sometimes being at the start of a plan, you know, the hardest part can be, pulling the trigger and committing to it. And once you get going, once you build up some speed, you can maintain it. But the beginning is the hardest part. So I mean, not to make excuses for myself, just to explain why none of these things have happened yet, and it will presumably happen in the future. Also, a reason these things haven't happened is that I made a deal with myself that if the channel were like this, if it were just me, talking in front of a shitty webcam, that I wouldn't try to make it anything. Like it was, it's for fun, not taking it seriously. And, putting work into one's content is, can be seen as an admission that you do want to take it seriously, and there's nothing wrong with that. There'd be nothing wrong with me taking it seriously. But I think the very act of taking it seriously is an act of commitment, and it's an act of, belief in oneself. Uh, and so that's always tricky, stuff like that. But you know, at the end of the day, I just want to have fun and say the things I want to say, and if that requires more effort or less effort, or it requires me to do you know endless research, or you know spend $50,000 on animatronic dinosaurs or something, like that should really that's really what it should be about. It's like, what do I want to express? What do I want to talk about? I purposefully wanted this to be about nothing so that it could be about whatever I wanted it to be. Like a lot of the channels I love are like hyper specific channels where it's just like, we'll cover this type of thing in this medium in this time frame, just like really narrow it down. And that's good because you can establish your niche, and you can do something that nobody else is doing and claim that land for yourself. But I always thought that if I was gonna YouTube it up, I would want to be able to talk about anything I wanted to talk about, and to purposefully not establish any trends, that somebody might expect me to follow, because, what if I don't feel like following them? I don't know. I mean, this is a very, long-winded way of saying that I overthink things. But all that being said, let's get into the list of the 10 things I want to do with this channel that I have not done yet. Number one is post more. When I started this channel, I was, posting pretty much every day. And subscriber numbers were increasing quite a bit faster when I was doing that. I mean, they weren't like firing off on a fucking rocket to the moon or something, but the increase in the subscriber count was, for a while, the goal was, you always have more subscribers than you have videos. I thought that was that was going good for a while. I mean, now I have 70 subscribers and 73 videos, so it's close. But yeah, I mean, I would like to post more often, because literally the way I've set this up, this is part of the reason I did it, is there are infinite things that I can talk about, because I can talk about anything, because there are no rules. Why should there be rules? So try to do it more often. That's number one. Number two, I don't know, this gets into specific ideas I had for, like, recurring things I would want to talk about. I hesitate to call them segments, because that sounds like official or something. But for example, with Fantano, how he does that weekly track roundup thing where he goes through all of the songs that have come out, over a past week, and talks about whether he liked them or not, and all that. I thought it might be fun to do that with movie trailers, like do a kind of a movie trailer roundup discussion at the end of the week, and just be like, these look like they have potential, these aren't looking so good, something like that. I thought that might be fun, and that's something you can do literally every week, because there are always a million trailers coming out. I also wanted to do lore dives, and I've already done one of these. I decided to start easy with Tommy by The Who, and then I'm going to move into Quadrophenia, and then get really crazy with stuff like, Lifehouse and The Boy Who Heard Music and all that stuff, and then get into the mythology of other bands. And that's basically what it is. It's just exploring the mythology of certain bands, certain albums. And so, I've already started to do that. That's one of the more research intensive types of videos I've tried to do. It requires a little more effort. But I want to do way more of that. And so why aren't I? Maybe I will. The other thing I wanted to do was, I love watching YouTube videos about insane conspiracies, And so, I thought it might be fun to specifically dive conspiracies that are completely ridiculous and nonsensical. Like, for example, I'm working on an upcoming, thing about the Stevie Wonder can see conspiracy, like going deep with that and trying to figure out if he actually can see. And spoiler alert, he cannot see. But stuff like that, like maybe talking about the time cube. Everybody wants to talk about the time cube. Why aren't I talking about the time cube? So things like that. I thought that might be fun. Number 5 is edited videos, and this is a thing that's going to happen. I have a friend who's really good at video editing. I am not good at video editing, and together we're going to make some more kind of long form videos, some actually edited videos with like footage and voiceover and all that stuff, because I love watching videos like that. I love watching a good video essay, as long as you don't do that video essay voice, and you know the one I'm talking about. I promise I'm not going to do that. But but yeah, I mean that's not a thing that's, oh, I might do it or I might not do it. That is a thing that is going to happen, and I always thought it would be nice to have those more edited, videos that are composed with some level of care, and then just do these bullshit videos where I'm just talking with my fucking face, you know. So both of those types of videos I want to do, and I will do, and that's a common. Number six is maybe streaming some games. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is my lane or not, but there are several people who are trying to force me to stream Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. And the only reason I don't do it is that I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't have, an especially good computer, and I don't know how things work, like technology. I don't know how technology works. So if I can figure out how to do it, I'll do it. I'll do it sometimes. That sounds nice. Um, Number seven is maybe go into my like creative pursuits a little bit. Like, is it breaking? Is the video breaking? Is it breaking? Did it break? I don't know. If it broke, I'll cut that part out. But everything froze. I think it's fine. Yeah, but I like writing stuff and coming up with ideas for stuff, and having a place to talk about creative stuff, and even kind of brainstorm a bit, and bounce ideas around, and just talk about you know why it's so wonderful to create things, things like that. I mean, that's an aspect of something I love very much that I haven't really devoted any time to talking about, and it's interesting to talk about. I'd like to talk about it. um Number eight is solving mysteries. I love solving mysteries. I'm not especially good at it, but I love being a detective, and I am a detective at every possible opportunity. And I bought this thing. This is essentially a book on cards. Yeah, and it's a murder mystery. And right now there's a contest going on where you have to go through this book. All the pages are out of order, and you have to determine, who the victims are, what happened to them, and who did it. And whoever submits a correct sheet of answers, wins a prize. I believe there's some type of cash money involved, and I thought it would be fun to go through this process on the channel, to check in every time I've done a few cards, and talk about where I'm at, and talk about what my theories are and what I'm thinking, stuff like that. And I even started going through some of the cards. You can see some underlines on there, but I never committed to it. So maybe we'll do that. Number nine is embarking on giant projects that take multiple videos. For example, oh my God, who's calling me? No. All right. Like for example, Dark Tower. I've always thought for years, I should go through the Dark Tower, go through the extended reading order, and kind of break down the mythology and the lore for myself, and something like that would be fun to do on the channel. But it's always scary to begin a big project like that, and to have expectations of seeing it through to the end. So, but I'd like to do something like that. And number 10 is establishing some lore of my own. And I haven't figured out how to do this because I have no production values. But I love lore. And I think every good YouTube channel has a little lore going on in the background. And I'd like to jump on the lore train. Establish a mythology, establish kind of an ongoing storyline. And the thing about that is, if I start doing it, I can't, tell you about it, because that's the fun of it, is, seeing how things connect to other things. So I don't know how that's going to happen, but all the best YouTube channels have those, horribly acted little skits. Where are my horribly acted skits? I don't get any horribly acted skits. You know, I don't know. Maybe not skits, but lore. I want a little lore, at least some subliminal background lore. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, so that is my vision for what I wanted this to be, and it is not yet. But maybe someday, if I can convince my brain to play along, it will be. So once again, thank you to all 70 of you, for subscribing. It's really wonderful that you did that, and I really appreciate it. And I mean, if you want to see anything, or you have any questions or concerns, or what have you, just let me know. I'm around. Bye.